While doing consultation, it is very commonly asked question that doctor, so what will be the density after my transplant? Or sometimes people used to send photographs of referring some actors having bounce back hairs. So is it possible to get such type of density after my transplant? Or sometimes people used to ask, so is it possible to regain my original density that I used to have when I was in the 20s, when I was the school going age? So let's discuss about what are the density we try to achieve in hair transplantation and what are some limitations associated with hair transplantation, so that you will have a better clarity or better insight about this thing. If you will see our scalp, so you will have two different zones. One is potentially balding zone and one is non-balding zone. If we will see area wise, if we will consider total scalp as 100%, this is the 25% and this area is the 75%. Suppose somebody having advanced grade of baldness, like grade 6, grade 7 baldness, like he has completely lost his hair from front to back. That means to cover this 75% area, we are left behind 25% area, which is the safe donor area. Out of this 25% donor area, what we can extract safely is 50% of this density. So that means to cover the whole scalp, we are left behind 50% of this donor area. So which is practically not possible to give or to regain original density to cover the whole scalp. Second thing is, so if you will see our density of hair in the scalp, so what density means, if you will consider 1 into 1 centimeter area, so it contains in normal individual around 80 to 100 follicles or grafts per centimeter square. When this density falls below 50%, then somebody become bald. That means from when it is this density is above 50%, you are not looking bald. There may be little bit thinning, there may be little bit sparsening, but it will not give a bald look. So in transplant, exactly what we are doing, we are trying to achieve a density which is just above 50% of your original density. This is known as cosmetic density. So in transplant, the density that we achieve is the cosmetic density, not the original density. So that post transplant, the graft will give a coverage to your scalp. There won't be any see-through effect, but there may be some sparsening, like when we put oil, when the hair are wet, when there is sweating. Otherwise, when the hair is dry, you have to do little bit of grooming so that it will completely cover your scalp. And this is the target in hair transplantation, and this is the limitation. We cannot achieve the density, natural density what you have in your early 20s or your teenage. Then coming to density. So if you will see in 1 into 1 centimeter square, there is a certain point above that when we will put grafts, they may not grow properly. Suppose this is a 1 into 1 centimeter area. So there is a limited supply. Suppose I have put like 40 grafts. So whatever blood supply in that area is present, they will get distributed among these 40 grafts. So if I will put 100 grafts or maybe 80 grafts in that area, that means same blood supply getting distributed among all the grafts. That means they are competing with each other. So this is the optimal density that we can able to achieve. So the point is, whatever graft will put in the transplant area, in the recipient area, every graft should grow properly. There won't be any graft wastage, so that your donor will be managed properly, and in the same time you are getting good density or a fair density which is giving a scalp coverage. So this figure is roughly around 40 to 50 grafts per centimeter square, or it may be little less. There are various factors that we keep in consideration, and also there are various factors that gives a individual variation in the density that we achieve after transplant once you will have a full regrowth. So let's discuss about the various factors that decides final density. First is hair caliber. Suppose you have a thick and black hair, and suppose somebody having thin and blonde hair or maybe white hair. So thick and black hair will definitely going to give a higher density or more illusion of more density compared to suppose somebody having a thin graft or maybe thin hair or maybe white hair. Second is known as a scalp skin contrast. Suppose somebody having a very fair skin and type of blonde hair, or maybe white hair or maybe black hair. So white skin and black hair, the contrast is maximum, difference is maximum. So we have to give really high density to achieve this cosmetic density, to achieve the full coverage. Third is scalp hair curl. Suppose somebody having curly hair, so curly hair gives a more illusion of density compared to somebody having normal or straight hairs. Fourth is, what is a very important factor, what is the area we have to cover. Suppose we have to cover only this much, only this front area, and you have a very good donor, then it's possible to give very high density, optimum density. Suppose you have to cover from front to back and you have a limited donor, beard is okay type, then we have to compromise. So what we do, we have to redistribute. Like in the front we give a very high density, or in the parting zone we give a high density. When we'll come to the mid area, when we'll come to the back area, the density gradually we have to reduce, because you have a limitations in number of grafts. That is known as strategic placement of this graft with various density at the different zone of your scalp. So these are the factors that ultimately decides your final density. So keep one thing in mind, in transplant what the density what we achieve is a cosmetic density, and there are various factors that decides your final outcome. Hope this video will helpful to have a better insight regarding density that we achieve after transplantation. Thank you.